Hello, everyone. I know I'm not the most consistent person on YouTube. I really struggle to handle so many social medias at the same time. But this is a segment that I really want to bring it back to the fore of my work online. I really do enjoy correcting essays for my students because I think this is a great way to show common mistakes that Brazilians still make when communicating in English. And before we start this correction, I need to remind you a few things. So, this is aimed at polishing your English. A way is a way of improving, not only improving, but working on your English accuracy. So if you are at a basic level of English, if you still don't feel confident enough to communicate, perhaps don't watch this video because I don't want to erode your confidence. I don't want you to feel less because you might make these mistakes. That's not the point here. The point is, if you are on a B2 level, if you already speak English, if you already get by, if you work in English, if you live in the UK and you are Brazilian, then you might want to have a look at that because this is aimed at you, okay? At this type of audience, this is specific audience. So my students are usually at a B2 level, and they already communicate, they already work in English, but they make mistakes. And this is very clear in the way they communicate, in the way they structure their thoughts. And I think writing is a very good way to spot these mistakes. Obviously, it would be great if they spoke, if they were recording voice messages, but that would be impossible for me to have a look at because I have over 20 students that have live lessons with me, in addition to the ones that don't have live lessons. So it's a lot of work, and I think writing is a good way to, I scratch your back and they scratch mine, and they help me with my content, and I help them hone their English skills, as it were. Okay, so after this introduction, it's worth pointing out that Grammarly is running on the background. I use Grammarly. Grammarly is amazing. You should have it on your computer. But I will explain why Grammarly is correcting some of these mistakes. And remember that Grammarly is not 100% accurate. Some of the things that Grammarly corrects, I just don't agree with, depending on the context. But if there is such a thing, if there is a case where I don't agree with Grammarly's correction, then I will obviously explain to you. Okay, so here, let's just start by tracking changes. So the topic was the internet has transformed lives and economies, but it's turning the world into a global village. Soon everybody will think and behave in the same way. So we have here, the first thing is the internet, because in English is the internet. I don't want you to think too much about it, but it is the internet. If you're talking about the internet, is the internet. Okay, the or the internet. It doesn't matter the pronunciation, no matter what some teachers say. It is okay for you to say the internet or the internet. So the internet is the hugest and incredible worldwide network. This doesn't sound natural to me, okay? And I would just change it. Hugest is not a word that is commonly used in everyday conversation. So we are basing this correction on everyday conversation and how to make your English more fluid. So it's to polish the way you speak. So I would use largest or biggest. So it's the largest and most incredible worldwide network. Largest matches better with the word network or biggest than hugest. This is a problem that we Brazilians have. We sometimes try to use different words, but in English they don't really match. And if you want to study this topic in more detail, this is called collocations. And collocations can be learned in two different ways, or a mix of two different ways. Learning by the book, by the textbook, or learning via natural approach. And for me, I think both cases are important. For me, both tools are important in my case. I learn by the textbook, I learn from the textbook, and I learn by listening to native speakers talk. Okay, so this one sounds more natural. Now, the next one here, it connects people from different parts, I think this was a typo, of the planet in real time, hyphen. With the internet, comma, if you're, comma here. So if you're starting, and there is the uppercase as well, I will leave the uppercase because I understand what the student was trying to do here. They were trying to say this is the institution, okay? But I don't think that on IELTS, for example, they would accept internet with an uppercase, for example. Okay, I need to double check this information, but I don't think they would if she was, for example, writing, taking the IELTS test. So with the internet, comma, it is possible to know and search almost everything independent where you are. No, this is a literal translation, regardless of. Regardless of has the meaning that she's looking for in English. So it is possible to know and search almost everything regardless of where you are and how much finance structure you have. This is also a literal translation from Portuguese. So regardless of where you are or how well off you are. Look, the point of this correction is not to teach you formal English, okay? As I think I made that very clear. Is to make you sound more fluid and more natural when you speak English. So this expression, how well off you are, is if you are well off, it means that you have good money. You are financially stable, but in this case, it's how well off you are, how much money you have. If you want to make it simple, how much money you have, regardless of where you are, how much money you have. Okay, but this is a good expression for you to know. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. Okay, so you can use these two sentences. Three, how well off you are, how financially stable you are, how much money you have. Now, basically, comma, the internet is in everything and everywhere all the time. Nowadays, most of everything we do is related to, okay, the internet. So is related to, okay, always related to. This is called prepositional collocation. So yeah, it's a very long sentence. So basically, the internet is in everything and everywhere all the time. Nowadays, most of everything we do is related to the internet. I'm going to start a new sentence because it just feels more natural to me. It could be working with ChatGPT, an email, studying and searching on Google, driving with a GPS, eating like watching recipes on YouTube, or even sleeping, listening to some while listening. I think while listening, that's a good correction, to some music. So I'll reread so you can feel if it's fluid or not. It's very good to read it out loud to see if it's, if it makes sense to you and it feels natural. So basically, the internet is in everything and everywhere all the time. I would remove this E. Basically, the internet is in everything and everywhere. The internet is everything and everywhere all the time. Nowadays, most of everything we do is related to the internet. It could be working with ChatGPT, writing an email. Look, the verb is necessary here to make it more fluid. Writing an email, you see, because working verb, writing verb, studying and searching on Google, driving verb, driving a GPS, driving with a GPS. Driving with a GPS. I'm going to driving with a GPS with the help of a GPS. I think it makes more sense. Eating like watching recipes on YouTube, or even sleeping while listening to. Also, prepositional verbs. These two are very similar. Prepositional collocations, prepositional verbs, so related to, listening to. So it is evident that the internet helps us live. You could say to live, no problem here. I don't know why Grammarly is correcting, but it's more common to avoid these two. This is an exception in the rule. Is an exception of the rule. So I know it's kind of like, but yeah, grammar has lots of exceptions. So it helps us to live in an easier and faster way in comparison to the life our parents had before it. Okay. On the other hand, the internet's life is too evolved. I didn't quite understand what the student meant by that. Because evolved, what do you mean by that? Evolved is usually a good thing, but the way you said it here makes me think that you actually wanted to say the other way around. So you also wanted to convey a different idea. So the internet's life is too evolved and intense that people now are addicted to navigating. Why? Because addicted to plus verb. If you have something that is connected to a preposition, the verb will come with ing. It's the same as saying, keep on listening to me. If I use keep on, because there is a preposition here, the verb will come with ing. Is a rule. Okay? So addicted to navigating all the time, and they are so dependent on it that they can't even solve problems without searching on the internet. Solve problems. Wait, I'll read this part here again. On the other hand, the internet's life is too evolved and intense that people now are addicted to navigating. Preposition, if there is a verb followed by a preposition, this verb will come with ing. To tends to be falcianissimo, okay? But with other prepositions, the rule is the same. If there is a preposition followed by a verb, this verb will come with ing. So now we're addicted to blah, blah. On the other hand, the internet life is too evolved and intense that people are addicted to navigating all the time, and they are also so dependent on it. Always dependent on, that they can't even solve problems without searching. Searching is a preposition. Is a preposition or a conjunction? I don't remember now. Let me double check. It can be a preposition and a conjunction. Woo! So if there is a preposition and a verb after the preposition, the verb will come with ing. Rule. This is a rule. There's no way out of it. So without searching on the internet before doing it, because if you add, this is also a literal translation. Before usually requires more information. It's not like in Portuguese where we say sem procurar antes, ponto. Okay? Actually, there is a better way to say it. Beforehand. Beforehand doesn't need a complement. But before usually requires a complement. It doesn't work like Portuguese. Okay? Because we say like, ela não faz nada sem procurar antes. It makes sense in Portuguese. In English, it doesn't. If that's the meaning that you want to convey, you need to add beforehand. Besides, poof, comma. People don't know how to pay attention to something for a long time. I think this is a typo. Something deep, comma. And the consequence of this is enormous. I think it would sound better to say the consequences of this are enormous, but okay. People are losing their critical thinking because critical thoughts doesn't make sense. No, it's also a problem of collocations. As a problem of collocation. So people are not using their critical thinking, okay? Or sense. Full stop. For example, comma. People are not using their critical thinking or sense. For example. No, that's not what she meant. Sorry, guys. So it's a pause. People are not using, I'm going to split this paragraph. People are not using their critical thinking or sense, for example, and this is caused by the velocity, by the speed. Much better. It sounds more fluid. By the speed that we, in which, or with, it's caused by the speed, with which, yeah, much better. And this is called by the speed that with which we have been receiving information. Com o qual. E isso é causado pela velocidade com a qual we have been receiving information. Full stop. It's so fast that you cannot even think if what you read is real or not. Before start thinking about it, they receive another information with complete different subject. So the users have a circle of shallow information that never ends. Way. It's so fast that you cannot even think if what you read is real or not. Full stop. Before you know it, this is an idiom, is an expression. Before you know it, which is like, quando você viu, you start thinking about it. Quando você viu, I would just change it. I'd just say, before you know it, you receive information with completely different subject. So the users have a vicious wait a second. Have okay. Yes, so this paragraph was a bit difficult. Maybe I'm just correcting it, but there are other ways to say this, okay? So before you know it, before you know it is like quando você vê, you receive another information with completely different subject, with a completely different subject, com assunto completamente diferente. So the users get into a vicious circle, eles entram num círculo vicioso de misleading information. Shallow information doesn't really match, but I know what you meant, superficial. So this is another problem of collocations, because shallow doesn't match information, but I think I know what the student thought. Informação superficial, okay? Moreover, the algorithms are making people live, you don't need to add to here, in their own bubbles and restricting them from seeing, okay? From seeing. If you restrict someone, you will restrict them from seeing. This topic in grammar is called verb patterns. So stop you from, restrict from. So if I stop you from doing something, I'm preventing you from doing that thing. So you restrict someone from. There is this distance. You are restricting me from, okay? Different content, and consequently restricting people from diversifying their opinions and visions. And views. Not visions. Visions is like, I had a vision. Uma aparição. As a result, big companies can, in big dimensions... Big companies can manipulate the population. You don't need all. Can manipulate the whole population. A população inteira. Whole. And this is another topic that you might want to have a look at, the difference between all versus whole. But I'm gonna be honest, I learned the difference by natural approach. So I need to study this topic in order to teach it. I need to have a think. But anyway, coming back to it, saying untrue things and also making you change your mind about what is right for you or not, how you should behave, and even what you should eat. However, even with those downsides, every time you have a pause, you always have to read your text out loud. So, however, even with those downsides, pause. It is impossible to deny that the internet is part of our lives, and it would be very difficult to live without it, though. Very good. To conclude, I believe that we need to be more responsible for things that we share on social media, things that we read, and especially, not principally, I don't even know if this word exists, to have a deeper analysis, to make a deeper analysis, is with an I, not E, because it's is singular. Analysis with an E is plural of things we see there. In addition, it's too long of a sentence. Too long of a sentence. Look. To conclude, I believe that we need to be more responsible for things that we share on social media, things that we read, and especially to have to make a deeper analysis of things we share there. We need to restrict ourselves we need to restrict ourselves in how much we are spending our time on this, so it can affect us less. Furthermore, it's our responsibility to look for different opinions and visions and views, not of information. If it's already implied in the idea that it's information, you don't need to, it's redundant. So just say, we need to look for different opinions and views that come from the internet. The internet should be here to make our lives easier. Ease in this context is not used, to make our lives easier. Instead of creating, again, why am I adding ing? There is a preposition here. Okay? Whew. I know it was a lot to take in. If you have any questions, let me know. But I think if you read the text out loud with the corrections, it's going to be easier. If you want to accept the corrections I've made, all you have to do, and this is for the student that wrote this, you have to come here, check changes and accept all changes, and you will have the clean version of the text. Okay? I think that's it. If you have any questions, you know what to do. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to leave your thumbs up. Bye.